Hey, puppy people. Jude the Puppy Nanny here. I'm so glad you could join me this morning, and I hope that you've tucked your pesky little puppy away so that you can take whatever I have that's useful to you away without being constantly interrupted. And I know that's one of the great 5 frustrations of owning a new puppy. You're probably muttering to yourself, maybe you're even saying it out loud. What was I thinking? How did I ever get myself into having a new puppy? I forgot how much work they are. You're not alone. Everybody that I work with, and generally that is the reason they call me, is that they have at this moment reached the end of their tether and they go, help, help, what do I do now? So the shenanigans of a new puppy can be entertaining, but they wear awfully thin. So let's just talk about some of the things. Oh, one of the things I should talk to you about is that in the, let's see, do we have chat public? Up on the upper right-hand corner, upper sidebar of your screen, you've got 4 headings that say chat, polls, attendees, and so on. So what you want to do is if you think of a question while I'm talking, then pop it right into the chat box, and then I will see it. As a matter of fact, if you would be so kind right at this moment, what did I just do? If you would just type that you can now see me and hear me, that would be really helpful. And then the other thing you need to know about a Google Hangout is that there's often a little time delay. So from the time you put your question in the box till I see it, there is, depending on where you are and the bandwidth and all of the stuff that I don't understand, there will be a time delay. So just as you think of it, we'll have time for questions and answers at the end, but if a question comes up as I'm saying something, pop it in there, and every now and then I'll have a look at it and answer it either right then or at the end. And the other thing you'll see me do is look down from time to time, because I don't want to waste anybody's time. I want to get as much information across as possible. So of course I have notes. So let's just look at right this minute. I don't know how this works, but I'm going to, I have to do, first of all, I have to do this. And then I think, do you see on your screen, and of course I can't see the chat box now, but that's okay, you can tell me anyway, do you see on your screen a slide that says the 5 biggest new puppy frustrations? And here they are. Number 1, potty training. Number 2, jumping up and nipping. Number 3, puppy destruction. Number 4, no downtime for the human. And the cry, my puppy can't be trained. Well, these are all very common issues, and I will say that, whoops, let's cancel that now. Tell me, did you get the screen? You can see and hear. Oh, great, perfect, wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Apparently, although it's been a while since I did a webinar, I haven't forgotten everything that I learned. So the key to saving your sanity when you first get a new puppy are management and training. And support is also very helpful. It's really tough if you have to do it all by yourself. So I'm hoping you don't. And if you are a single person who owns a puppy, then maybe you've got a really good friend or some good neighbors or some family who can give you some relief, who can come and help you in some training sessions. So let's talk about the number 1 frustration, often the one that causes people to call me. Potty training. It's always on the agenda. Stained carpets, little piles you find behind the sofa, bare feet stepping in puddles. This takes time. Puppies, they're little. Their bladders are little, and there's no connection between their brains and their bladders when they're very young. So then it becomes a question of management from our perspective. They have no control over their bladders, and they've just come from a situation where they live with their mom and their litter mates, most likely in some kind of a pen, and unless you were lucky enough to have chosen a breeder who did some training, they just peed and pooped wherever they felt like it. So we have different rules in our human world, and they need to be taught what's acceptable in our community. So that said, there's generally one of the causes, several primary causes of why potty training becomes such an issue. One of them is they have too much space. People free feed. That means they put down a bowl of food in the morning and puppy can have it whenever they want. There's not enough vigilance when puppy has freedom, and not learning your puppy's signals. I'm just going to pop up here this slide. Oh, I better do it in the right sequence though, which is actually the keys to the clues you want to look for. I say be a doggy detective. You might have figured out that I wrote this for kids, but it's okay. We can all be doggy detectives. So you want to take your puppy out as soon as she wakes up, after she's been lying still chewing for a while, certainly after eating or drinking. Now, I don't know. I think you have to sort this piece out for yourself a little bit. I know that if you pay attention, you'll soon figure out whether your puppy pees and poops 20 minutes after they've had breakfast or lunch, or whether it's half an hour, or whether it's 15 minutes. But there generally will be a pattern, so pay attention and you'll get that. And that, again, will avoid accident. So another time is when you've just come and greeted and released her from her long-term confinement area. This next one is one that people often miss because, you know, she was playing with the toy, she was chewing on a bone, she was rolling the ball around, and then she leaves it and she starts to wander away. Chances are she's going off to do her business somewhere, somewhere that you don't want her to. Another one is sniffing, and if she begins to circle while she's sniffing, or if she suddenly looks confused or distracted, or if you're lucky, she actually heads for the door. And certainly if she begins to wander to an area where she has peed or pooped before, and if she begins to squat. Now, if you see her begin to squat and you can scoop her up right then and there and say, outside, that will be helpful. It will probably take you a couple of minutes on the outside because generally that's so startling that puppy's pee stops right then and there, so you have to give it time to sort of, the connection, shall we say, to be reestablished once you take her outside. And anytime you're playing with your puppy or your kids are playing with your puppy, it's a really good idea to take a break about every 15 minutes or so and go outside. That's not to say that she's going to potty outside every 15 minutes. Absolutely not. But you want to give her the opportunity so that you have one less accident in the house. And so then we'll put that away, and here I am back again. Yoo-hoo! So what are the solutions? Well, if you know anything about what I do and how I train, and if you've seen my book or any of that stuff, you'll know that I am a huge believer in crate training for very small puppies. And when I say crate training, that in addition to meaning that you've got a safe place for a puppy to be so that you can, we'll talk about the crate when we talk about No Time for You, but if your puppy who sleeps a lot because she's growing spends a lot of time in her crate and she has something in there to entertain herself, and you use a timer so that you, the human, don't get distracted and forget to take her out, getting your crate will be a fabulous tool in assisting with your potty training. The other thing is, oh, the timer. You know, so simple, so simple, so simple. Because we lead busy lives, we're in the kitchen, we're at the computer, we're doing something, and we just go, yeah, I took her out, and then you get distracted, or the phone rings or something, and the next thing you know, you've got an accident. Well, if you set a timer, it's a reminder to you, and you want to set it in the very early days for the top of every hour. No, your puppy won't pee every hour. Might pee every 2 hours though. But what you're wanting to do is train yourself to get her outside so that the pottying happens in the right place. A confinement area. Now this can be, you can use an X pen, you know, one of those rigid wire mesh like a fence, and that it'll freestand, or you can use it to bar off a corner of a room. You can use it as a gate to bar off a laundry room or a bathroom. Anytime you're using a small room for your confinement area for your puppy, make sure it's not with the door closed. Puppies feel very isolated, and that's not building confidence. So always have them be able to see you no matter where you're confining them. But by confining them to a smaller space, they've got the freedom to have a drink. The crate is in there too, by the way, so that they can go in there because you want them to learn to love it. But they have a little bit more space. They have some chew toys and a bowl of water, so they have a little bit more space to move around without being all over your house, because that's one of the biggest things I find is that puppies are given far too much space too soon. They actually have to earn the right to the rooms in your home, one room at a time. Another part of the solution is feeding regularly. Young puppies actually need to be fed 4 times a day, but certainly a minimum of 3. The bowl goes down with the appropriate amount of food in it. After 20 minutes, it is picked up. Sorry about that. I thought I turned it off. After 20 minutes, you pick it up. If puppy didn't eat the whole meal in the 20 minutes, then she has to wait till lunchtime. So because if you don't control what goes into your puppy, you can't control what comes out. So that's the other thing, and the signals that I just gave you, the signals to watch for are also key. And just because you've created a long-term confinement area doesn't mean the signals don't matter. But you still want your puppy to pee and poop outside, and you want to get started right away. So I'm hoping that helps with puppy frustration number 1. The second one is jumping up and nipping. And certainly if there are small children in your lives, that is a huge issue, because puppy teeth are like little needles. Little kids' skin is very sensitive, and they mean to play. And what happens is they're small. That is the kids as well as the puppies. Kids move quickly. They flail their arms about, and of course they make high-pitched screams when they get scared. And puppy goes, "Oh, this is so much fun. I'll jump some more." And then it's not fun anymore. So, but you know, puppies jump because that's what they do when they've gotten a little bit older and mom is not necessarily ready to feed them on their whim. They'll jump up and try and nurse, and so they jump up constantly. And as for the rolling around and the jumping and the biting, that's how they play with their siblings. And the siblings, if one puppy bites another too hard, the sibling goes, "Ow!" And that's actually what we need to do as well. Now, that's really good for us adults, because we can we know it hurts, but we don't get terribly upset by it. But even though it's startling and it hurts, so we can actually go, "Ow!" and turn away, just for a second or two. Then call puppy back, start again. But the thing with this is that it has to be every time. There's no judgment issue of, "Oh, that wasn't very hard, that didn't hurt very much," none of that. It has to be every time teeth touch skin, it's "Ow!" and turn away. Because you want puppy to learn to have a soft mouth. In fact, he's got a 4.5-month window from birth to 4.5 months before he needs to know how to have a soft mouth. In other words, never to put pressure on human skin. Just an aside that I forgot to mention with puppies and kids. Babies and kids, puppies and kids, toddlers and kids. Any kid under the age of, I'll say 10, could be 8 if they're particularly dog savvy. Never ever leave kids and puppies alone, or kids and dogs alone, unless it's yours and you know them well. But they need to be supervised, because small children in particular, you know, from infants or crawlers, shall we say, to toddlers, they do interesting things to puppies because they too are exploring the world, and sometimes what they do hurts and they don't know that, and puppy turns and bites them. You don't want that. then your inclination is to say, "Oh, my puppy bit my kid." Well, you don't know what happened exactly. So it's really important never to leave them unsupervised. So as I said, one of the solutions to stopping this jumping up and biting is to yelp and turn away for a couple of seconds, call puppy back, and to be super duper consistent with that. Um, and the other thing is to train the word off, or leave it if you prefer. I like off because it means off the couch, off the toy, leave my pant leg alone, let go of my hand, don't touch that treat, don't pick up the thing on the street. It's one simple word that covers everything. And I'll just give you a quick intro into how to train off. You start with a very yummy treat in your hand. You close, which I don't have. You close your fist and you put it. This is my puppy. You put this treat right here, right on puppy's nose, and puppy will paw it and sniff it and lick it and do all manner of things. And you say nothing and you do nothing. You just hold the treat right there. And the minute puppy stops all this, trying to get the treat, and removes all of her body parts from you, you open your fist instantly and say, "Take it." And that's how you train off. And then it progresses. After 3 repetitions of saying nothing, just watching, you'll notice that the length of time that puppy paws and sniffs and has at your hand has decreased. So by the 4th or 5th time of doing it, you can say, as you present the fist with your treat in it, you can say, puppy, always using puppy's name, off. And as soon as she doesn't touch it anymore, you say, take it. That's step 1, and that is the beginning of off. Puppies do not generalize, so they don't go, oh, right away that word means off, so therefore I shouldn't touch anything when I hear that word. That has to be taught. This is the concept, and then it has to be taught for the pants leg, the boots, the shoes, the toys, the treats, the things on the floor, whatever it is, the kids, the jumping up. The word is off, and that's the basis of how to train it. And of course, with all puppy training, consistency is key. It's probably the hardest things that we humans do, is to be consistent, because, you know, the world is always around us and going and offering and distracting. And so with a puppy, and the consistency does, if I say, drop off. Once the behavior is established in the puppy by consistent training, then you don't have to be quite as on it as the puppy. I mean, within a year, maybe 2, depending on the dog. Your dog will understand what you're asking and will do it most of the time. So that's the puppy frustration number 2 and some solutions. And puppy frustration number 3 is puppy destruction. Puppies chew. You've probably figured out that that's how they explore the world, is with their mouths, because they don't have hands. So they chew, they sniff it, and then they chew it. They take it in their mouths to discover what it is, what it tastes like, how it feels, and that's their big discovery. So, and dogs chew also. It's just what they do. But that doesn't work for us, because they're indiscriminate in their chewing, and they destroy things like your newest pair of lovely strappy leather sandals, your brand new pair, or your very favorite, most comfortable pair of hiking boots, electrical cords. That's not only not funny, it can be highly dangerous. Your gloves, and kids' toys. Oh yeah, especially the ones with little pieces. Puppies love those. Well, in addition to destroying the toy, it can be dangerous, because they can ingest something, and then all of a sudden you've now got a vet visit, and we won't even go there. So what do you want to do? It's up to us to train our puppies to chew things that are acceptable. And I always say that your puppy will train your family to be tidy. It'll only take one new sneaker, one special thing belonging to your kid, to be destroyed by your puppy. And then when you say, you need to pick up your stuff and put it away, is far more likely to happen. Excuse me, I know I'm going to sneeze. Nope, not right that minute. So, so what you want to do is, first of all, you want to, as Ian Dunbar says, you want to get them hooked on chew toys. Two of the reasons why puppies chew things, in addition to the exploration and the taste and the chewing, is that they have too much freedom. So that goes back to your long-term confinement area again, management, and they don't have enough to do. They get bored, so they're on a hunt. Let's see what's new. So Ian Dunbar, who is probably the original puppy trainer and certainly my go-to guru, his line is, get them hooked on chew toys. Everybody needs a hobby. And so what we want to do is get our puppies hooked on chewing the things that we want them to chew. And there's so many things now. There's the Kong, for example, and Kong makes several toys that you can actually put food and treats inside of. There's a ridged stick. Busybody of Premier Toys makes a couple that I really like, Busybody being one. There's another one that looks like a spaceship, and it dispenses toys or treats one at a time, but puppy has to move it around to get it. There's a biscuit ball, and I'm having a lot of people tell me lately how much their puppy loves the bully stick. So you find I'm not telling you you're not going to spend any money at this, but even if you spent more than you thought was acceptable, probably still cheaper than a new pair of shoes. So get things that your puppy likes to chew. And oh yes, and the other thing, one of my all-time favorites is what I call soup bones. They're actually leg beef bones that you can get either from your butcher or oftentimes just at the supermarket, labeled soup bones. And they're wonderful for puppies to chew, not only when they're brand new and have little scraps of meat on them and they're full of marrow, but when they're empty for the first time, then you can just clean them, if you wish, and then stuff them again with a mixture of their kibble, maybe a couple of treats mixed in in with it to make them more attractive, and glued together with a little bit of peanut butter, cream cheese, or canned dog food. And if you stuff your chew toys, whatever they might be, and you really should have 2 or 3 minimum. If you do 2 or 3 and you want to give puppy one, have a couple. Oh my goodness, have a couple ready in the freezer so that you're always ready to give your puppy a settling toy. And it's easy enough to get your puppy hooked on chew toys. If you start early enough, you provide some variety, you make the stuffing interesting, and you confine your puppy. You know, puppies complain. I've heard people say, oh, my puppy doesn't like the long-term confinement area. She screams and she jumps up and she blah, 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 blah. Yep. But if you make anything interesting, then you get puppy hooked on it. So you don't put her in a long-term confinement area and hope that she can be content with her thoughts. You give her something to do. And those something to do's need to be things that she really enjoys, and anything that contains food that she has to work at is good brain exercise, and of course it will keep her busy and quiet. Always suggest taking her daily ration of kibble and putting it to one side, so then you've got the correct amount on any given day that you can use for feeding in a dish, for feeding from your hand, for training, for stuffing chew toys. You don't want to suddenly double the amount of food you're giving your puppy. We're not aiming to get her fat. So that is puppy destruction, frustration number 3, and how to solve it. Number 4. I never get a minute to sit down. Well, not only not sit down, I've had people say to me, I can't even take a shower. I can't get the garbage out. Not that anybody thinks that's a great thing to do, except we need to get it out. So, once again, we um, we need to expect that your new puppy requires intense vigilance, care, and training. And if prior to getting your puppy you've actually given this some thought, you will have kind of, I don't know if you've had a clue as to how long it will take, but if you've thought about, oh, well, it's going to turn my life upside down. How am I going to deal with that? Well, if you know that it's going to turn your life upside down, then you kind of plan accordingly, and um, and know that you're in for about 8 weeks minimum of sort of having a little upheaval. However, the object of the exercise here is to allow you to have a little bit of downtime, at least to sit down and have a cup of tea or have a telephone visit with a friend. And the time that you have to spend with your puppy now in these early weeks will be really well spent, because it will pay off. But I know that's pretty cold comfort as you're thinking, if I don't sit down, I'm going to fall down. I am so exhausted. So, the solution, the crate, the crate, the crate, plus the long-term confinement area. And that goes right back to the crate, the chew toys, and the long-term confinement area. Those are your 3 management tools for ensuring that you have time to sit down, to take a shower. I had a client say to me, I can't even take a shower. Now this puppy was accustomed to being in the crate, and I said, well, so what happens? Oh, well, if I put him in his crate and I leave him downstairs and I go upstairs to have a shower, I can hear the hooting and the hollering all the way upstairs. I said, well, take the crate upstairs. Put the crate in the bathroom while you have the shower. Oh, because and this of course does not apply if you've got one of those great big wire mesh crates. You can't be moving that around. But if you have a smaller plastic or soft-sided crate that for your new, very small puppy works like a charm. And remember that a crate's a crate's a crate. So whatever you get your puppy accustomed to, it won't be very difficult as she gets older to move her into a larger crate. And the key to the crate is giving her something to do while she's in there. And again, there's your chew toys. Chew toys, again, are one of your best friends. There's so few things that you really need and that can make such a huge difference. Crate, confinement area, chew toys. Yeah, I'd say those 3 are probably the biggest. The timer, of course, for potty training, but we're just talking management here. So those 3 are probably your best helpers. No time to sit down? That's fixable. Make sure your puppy's happy in the crate. Have the crate set up in a long-term confinement area. Make sure she's entertained, and you can have some time to sit down. Won't be quite like it was before puppy came, but it will be adequate for now. Because remember, this is short term. This is your puppy and you at the end of your rope because you can't deal with it anymore. So I'm just giving you some solutions that will get you over this hurdle and into the really fun times as puppy begins to get it. Oh, and that brings me to the 5th one. Oh, my puppy doesn't get it. My puppy can't be trained. Well, you know what? Yes, he can. My line to so many people is, humans expect miracles. And we do. We train our puppy how to do something, say, come. And then we expect him to come every time. Funny thing about that, we don't learn with one trial. If we did, we'd take golf lessons, we'd read a couple of books, and then, knowing that we had the perfect swing, we'd shoot a perfect game every time. And any of you who are golfers, or any other sport for that matter, or anything else, will know that that doesn't happen. We have to practice, we make bunches of mistakes, and eventually we get it. And that's exactly the way it is for a puppy. So it's not, I showed you how to sit. How come you don't get it? No, it has to be um, done in very small pieces, but also very consistently. Um, you know, dogs and puppies are not insubordinate. When they don't do what we ask them to do, it's because they don't understand what we're asking. Uh, becomes a slightly different story as puppies reach adolescence, and they tend to, like all adolescents, blow us off. You ask them to do something and they go, not right now. But that's when you need to redouble your efforts, and we're some weeks from that in this conversation. So what I'm saying is that puppies will do as you ask if they understand what you're asking. And Terry Ryan of Legacy Canine Training in Sequim, Washington, this is her line. She says, be a splitter, not a lumper. In other words, if you want to teach something, teach it in the smallest possible pieces. So you want to train sit, it's the treat on the nose till the bum drops, give the puppy the treat 3 or 4 times, then add the word, puppy, sit. And if you do 3 or 4 of those, that's enough for a session. But do 3 or 4 sessions in the run of a day. And then tomorrow you can add another thing, like maybe a down, but never forgetting the sit. So it's like a curriculum that builds on itself. And you need small pieces, small time slots. You need lots of them, and you need to do them often. And you know, you can incorporate this training into your daily life. For example, you ask your puppy to sit while you put his dinner on the floor. You ask your puppy to sit and let you go through the door first. You ask your puppy to sit for everything, because I think this is in Ian Dunbar too. Sit is the equivalent of please and thank you. You can practice the name game with your puppy, a very important one, especially as puppy is learning his or her name. You say puppy's name, and if she looks at you, you reward her. You can do that while you're sitting at your computer. You can do that while you're preparing dinner in the kitchen. So it's not that you have to take great chunks of time out of your day to train your puppy. What you need to do is sort of change your headspace so that you go, okay, and if you sit down and think about it just for a little bit, you'll find lots and lots of opportunities to train your puppy as you go through the day. I know that when you thought about getting a puppy, I know that you had a really good idea of the kind of dog you wanted to own. You wanted one who would play with the kids, perhaps, or go on long hikes with you, or would hang out with you while you watch TV, or all of the above. But you wanted, or certainly you wanted a dog you could take anywhere, who was meet other people and other dogs confidently. I mean, I call that your dream dog. And everybody has an idea in their minds of what kind of dog they expect. I have put together an online training program called the Puppy Nanny's 4-Paw Training Pattern. I'm going to, I think, I'm going to pop this up now so that you can see. I don't know, is it going to do it or not? Oh yes, let's see. Yeah, should be that you can see it now. It says the Puppy Nanny's 4-Paw Training Pattern. Of course, I can't tell whether you can see it or not, so I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's 6 modules, and of course, when you buy the package, you get all 6, and then you can download them all at once, or you can download them as you need them. They're designed to be used for a week at a time, and each module contains a training checklist that you can post up so that everybody in your family who's involved, which should be everybody, can tick off that they have asked puppy to sit 5 times today, and so on. So it keeps everybody on track, and it keeps the puppy training moving forward. There's instructional videos, there's written how-tos, and there's visual presentations, as in the form of slide presentations, and also recordings. So no matter how you learn best, short of my being right there with you, it's all there for you. So check it out now. And it's a 6 module, I should say, because you do it at your own speed, for $67. So do have a look at that. It's a fairly new program I've put together. It's still at $67, but I suspect very soon I will be putting the price up. So now I'm going back to, I think I am going back to where it says chat. And it's time for you, because I'm done saying what I had to do, and I'm very happy that I'm at 35 minutes, which is fine because I know your time is valuable. And so now, if you have any questions, please pop them in the box. Is there anything that's really particularly frustrating to you that I have talked about, I haven't given you enough detail, or that I haven't talked about? Because I'm happy enough to answer your questions for the next few minutes. And while I'm waiting to see if you have any questions, I am going to have a mouthful of my morning coffee. And I know there is a delay, so although you guys all seem to be able to respond to me quite quickly. So I guess I could very quickly, we know what the frustrations are. Let me just very quickly, just in case you have a question and you haven't got it up yet, the potty training, you want a timer, you want a crate, barking. Yes. Okay, Jackie. I won't even bother to do this. I will talk about barking. So, how I'm guessing that your puppy is probably beyond 12 weeks, because it generally takes that long for your puppy to find his or her voice. And I'll give you a quick, it will be quick, but you can find, I'm just trying to think where. I think certainly on my website, but you'll have to look for it. Speak and Shush, I think it's called. Anyway, if your puppy is barking, puppies bark because they want to tell us something, and that was one of the reasons why we allowed them to come and live with us about 15,000 years ago, so that we'd be warned of unwanted visitors, as in wild animals, in the night. So they have to be allowed to bark. But they don't have to be allowed to bark incessantly. So my rule of thumb is you get to have 11 months. Okay, and okay, another question too. Okay, so you want to teach your puppy to speak, which sounds really weird to people because puppies are already doing far too much speaking in their mind, so that you can also train shush. And so you go, speak when your puppy's barking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whoops. Woof, 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 whoops. Good speak, good speak. Hold a treat on her nose. Shush. Dog's name. Shush. And when she stops to take the treat, because she can't bark and take a treat, so you make sure that this treat is something that she really, really likes. And of course, again, you repeat and repeat and repeat. So the puppy is allowed the 5, I say 5, you might say 4, you might say 7 woofs, and then you have to stop it. If puppy's barking at, this is a hard one for me to do in this particular forum, but if puppy's barking because she sees things on the street through the window or through your balcony railing, if that's the kind of stuff she barks at, then in the short term you need to block her view, because it's too much stimulation and you won't have any luck training her to stop barking if the stimulus that causes it is still visible to her. So you want to just use shush and a treat, and use it a lot after the permitted number of barks. And it will take, and especially at 11 months, meaning that the optimum puppy training time is up to 4.5 months, it's going to take you a while. So settle in, be consistent, um, be persistent, and I don't know the other. She probably barks when people come, perhaps, to the door. I'm trying to sort of anticipate a little bit, unless you want to give me a little bit more information. And if that's the case, then you don't want to put her away, most likely. But if she tends to bark, 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 bark when people come in, and then when they come in, she continues to bark, then you will want to again work on that shush most particularly, and then you'll want to set it up so that you have people help you with the coming to the door, the ringing of the doorbell, the knocking, and so on, so that you train your puppy to sit by the door, and I call that the greeting sit, so that people can come in and she doesn't bounce all over them and she doesn't bark. So, but this training her to shush is probably your biggest helper. And if you were yes, okay, that's quite normal. And as I say, allow the whatever number and then modify it from there. And you know, Jackie, if you were to send me an email at Jude at judethepuppynanny.com, then I can send you a link to a post or a blog or a video that I've done that will make it a whole lot clearer. So if you do that, then I'll do that. And then you'll have the solution, and then the practice is be up to you. And so young Daisy is still grabbing pant hems and skirts, and off is not working, Joan says. So what I don't know what you're presently doing other than saying off, which, as you say, is not working. But what I would do in that case is, in addition, and again, this is short term, in addition to the off, the saying of the off, I would have her favorite thing. In her case, as most small dogs really love those small squeaky toys, especially the long skinny ones with two squeakers. I would distract her. As well as saying off, I would hold in my hand close to her, and I would excite her with the distraction. Does that make sense? And you know how to reach me, Joan, so carry on with using a toy to distract her and see how that goes. And as I say, you know how to reach me, so send me an email if you need more help than that. Okay, well, that's great. And Jackie, I really do want to know, I want to know how you get on, so stay in touch and keep me posted. So we're just about at the 3/4 of an hour mark, and unless anybody else has any other questions, I think we will indeed call it a day, and hopefully I have been able to be of some help with some of your new puppy frustrations, because when the frustrating period is done, then, and you've put in the work, then you will have that dog that you dreamed of owning, that you can take anywhere, that meets people, greets people, is well behaved, all of those things. And that's what I want for you, because my mission is to keep puppies in their first homes for life. So that's it for your questions. That's it from me, and we'll call it a day. Have fun with your puppy. Ruff!